When you come to first set up your Panther mill, find a nice flat table and they lay the long pieces of aluminium profile down on the table. Try and find something at the end whereby you can get it square. So an actual square would be good, but just so they're not sort of crooked at the end. The middle section, doesn't have to be precise, but you can sort of line it up with about 36 centimetres from the end there. So if I zoom out a bit now, you can sort of see how that looks. You'll have lots of these small L-shaped brackets. You get 2 to each side for strength. So get them positioned, and you can sort of see how that then joins on. So you can see I've just fitted that middle rung now and just slotted those sections in together. Just a question of tightening all these little set screws up. And again, before you do that, just make sure everything's nice and square there. Now with most of the mills you'll get 2 of these cross sections. So you can see this one I've done previously. You've got 2 cross sections there. Another thing to watch for is make sure these little slot nuts are slid in first before you start tightening up all these different set screws. If you forget to do that, then you're going to have to undo it all because there's no way of sliding these in there. So make sure you've got 2 of the M8 slot nuts in there. Pretty much all of the slot nuts are M8. Looking at the mill as it stands, the power head side is going to be on this side. So now we want to position slot nuts on this side of the rail. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all of which are M8 slot nuts. On this side you've got an M8 slot nut, and then the only one that's an M6 is this next one, second one in. Then you've got another M8 there and an M8 there. So the only one to watch for is this M6 here. These 2 are what hold the winch on. So if you can have a look at this mill that I've got over here, you can see that the end bracket fixes down into those 2 slot nuts. Winch eye goes on there, and you can see it's got a thick washer just underneath it. These 2 are for the magnets and for the tools. You've got another winch eye at this end, and then this is where the other bracket fixes down, and same on the other side. Haven't got the winch on there yet, but you can see where it fits. And these go down with an M8 bolt and a washer. I'll just zoom out away from that so you can see what you're looking to set up. So if you get all of those slot nuts in and roughly in the right position, and again, just make sure that this one here is an M6. This Panther bracket on the right hand side, you're positioning right at the end. This is the power head end, so it wants to go all nice and square at the very end. And again, you've got an M8 bolt and a washer underneath, and you can tighten those up fully. Notice the orientation of the bracket with the V pointing up the mill. Now on the ones that you'll already have this assembly all fitted. I'm just leaving that off so you can see a bit more clearly what's going on. So the V is pointing up the mill, and similarly this other end, the V is pointing in the same direction as the first one. Now this one here, tighten up finger tight and then back off a couple of turns. So finger tight and then back off a couple of turns, because you want that to have freedom of movement on this particular end. But this near side end, you can tighten down fully. After that, it's just a question of fitting the 2 magnets They fit with slightly smaller bolts. These are, I think, 12mm and a spring washer underneath. So that's for the two magnets. The eye bolts for the winch just fix with that larger washer underneath, and you can see up to this end here, and they just sort of screw down into the slot nuts. Make sure you have these, there's some small plastic inserts, and these sit inside just against the black brackets, and that helps to stop the scale on the uprights getting rubbed off. So here you can see I fitted the top part of the mill over the uprights and just pinch them up on the clamp, and same on this side here. You're now going to slide the mill down and clamp it up and set it to about 3 inches. This doesn't have to be exact, but I tend to find about 3 inches allows you full rotation of the handles. Bolts here, these bolts here are still loose, but you can sort of twist this around and you'll find it will then twist this nose, but I've sort of twisted it around just so that looks square at the end there. So I've now pinched these up and tightened these. And now you can roll your mill over, access to put on the further bits here and here. So on the thrust hand we take this large washer, goes on there, you get the other skid, goes on there, got where I make flange nut, goes on there, and this end's very simple, just got the flange nut. So you can put those on there and you can tighten them up. Here you can do a quick test. You can raise the mill up to 13 inches and just look down it. Do the uprights look straight in all directions? If you look at this one, is that looking nice and upright? Because if it looks like it's pulling the uprights over, and you've got these end bolts pinched up, but if it's pulling the uprights in or pushing them out, this obviously wasn't quite positioned correctly when it was further down the mill. So all you do is loosen off this end one and slide the bracket in or out this way, and it should straighten things up for you. Now we're fitting the round tube with the adjustment for the rack and pinion system, and it's important you do this correctly. So when you position each end, you'll notice all these grub screws are slackened off at the moment, but you'll notice these are all pointing in the same direction, as in outwards towards me. The mill is still set to 3 inches or whatever you chose to set it at, but just make sure that those at each end are all set pointing in the same direction. So if you want to do adjustment later, wherever you've got the mill at, you can get to those little set screws there. Looking end on, make sure that the drive cog there is nicely lined up with the upright, the splines of the upright. And similar over here, make sure that's nicely all square and lined up there. And then once you have all of them facing the same direction, you can tighten them all up. On the thrust end side or the chainsaw end side, you might find that the cog is over to the right slightly, and that's fine, and that stops this tube moving from left to right. On this side you have a stop that stops that happening. So you should find the mill goes up and down smoothly, and height adjustment is easy. And you'll see that on the chain, on the height scale, we've got inches and centimetres for those who like to work in metric. But if you find it sticking and you're not sure why, there's a few things you can do. First thing to do is at the end of the mill, at the nose end, loosen off these 2 bolts here, and then allow the mill to go all the way up and all the way down, and see if that helps to self-right this bit, because it might be that this is causing the upright to be pulled in. So as you go up it gets stiffer, or as you go down it gets stiffer. So you can loosen these off go up and down a few times and then tighten them back up again. And that usually solves that one. However, you might also have to adjust the cogs here. And that's why you leave all of these set screws facing out the same way, so that if you do have to slacken these off to move this left or right, you can also do both of those at the same time, because you've got access to all of those set screws while it's set to whatever you set it to in the initial stage, say 3 inches. And if you add the power head and things stiffen up, for instance, if I push down on that bar, sometimes that can actually cause the dynamics of this to change. And once you're at the desired height, all you do is just to clamp it up is over with that one and over with that one. So let's do it again. So flip that off. If I want to adjust it from 8, I'll go down to say 2.5. It's as easy as that, and the height is set. Scale is there, so just set it to whatever you like, really. And you'll find that is very solid. You can't move that up and down as long as you've got these clamps clamped up.